JavaScript. What is JavaScript? JavaScript is a lightweight, interpreted, just-in-time compliant programming language with first-class function. While it is most known as a script language for web page, many non-browser environments also use it, such as Node.js, Apache, CouchDB, and Adobe Acrobat. JavaScript is prototype-based multi-paradigm single-threaded dynamic language supporting object-oriented imperative and declarative functional programming style. JavaScript dynamic capabilities include runtime object construction, variable parameter list, function variable dynamic script creation, YAML object introduction via foreign object utilities, and source code recovery. JavaScript function also store their source text can be retrieved through toString. The section is dedicated to JavaScript language itself, not part of the specific web page or other hosted environment. For information about APIs, there is a specific web page. Please see web API dot and the standard of JavaScript are the ECMAScript language specification and the ECMAScript internalization API specification. As soon as the browser implement a feature, we try to document it. This means that when someone proposes a new ECMAScript feature have already been implemented in browser, documentation and examples in MG and article may use some of the new feature. Most of the time this happen between the stages 3 and 4, and usually before the specific published. Do not confuse JavaScript with Java programming language. JavaScript is not interpreted to Java. Both Java and JavaScript are trademark and registered trademark of Oracle in the US and other countries. However, two programming language have been different semantics in use. JavaScript documentation for common language features pure ECMAScript. For the next part include the following: the JavaScript guide, the JavaScript references for more information, JavaScript expression related technology. Looking to become a front-end developer, we have put together a course on include the essential information need to work toward the goal. Tutorial: learn how to comply for complete beginner. Head over our learning area JavaScript topic. If you want to learn JavaScript but no previous experience with JavaScript or programming, the complete module available. JavaScript first step: answer some functional fundamental questions such as what is JavaScript, what does it look like, and what do it can do, along with discussing key features such as variable, string, and number, and arrays. JavaScript building blocks continues and coverage of JavaScript fundamental feature, turning our attention to the commonly encountered types of code blocks such as conditional statement, loop, and function event. Introducing JavaScript object. Object-oriented nature of JavaScript is important to understand if you want to go further with your knowledge to understand the language and write more efficient code. Therefore, we provide this module that help you asynchronous JavaScript. Discuss asynchronous JavaScript, why it is important, how it can be used effectively, handle of potential blocking operations such as following: resources from server, client-side web API, explore with APIs or how to use them, or most common API you come across often in your development. JavaScript guide, a much more detailed guide to JavaScript 11 if to those previous programming experience such as JavaScript or another language. Intermediate JavaScript framework are essential part of the modern front-end web development, providing developer with proven tools for building the scalable interactive web application. The module gives you a fundamental background knowledge about how client-side framework work and how they fit into your tool set. Before moving on, a series tutorial covering some of the today's most popular ones. An overview of the basic syntax and semantics of JavaScript for those coming from other programming like to get you speed. JavaScript data structure. Overview of the available data structure in JavaScript. Equality comparison and sameness. JavaScript provides the different value comparison operation, strict equality using, loose equality using, and object is method. Immutability and ownership of the property properties. How different method that a visit of a group or object. One by hand, the enumerately and objectivity of the properties. Closures. A closure is a combination of function and the lexical environment within which that function was declared. Advance, inheritance, and prototype chain. Explanation of widely misunderstood and underestimated prototype based inheritance. Memory management life cycle and garbage collection in JavaScript. The event loop. JavaScript has a runtime model based event loop. Reference. Browse the complete JavaScript reference documentation. Go to know about the array, boolean, date, error, function, json, math, number, object, regex, string, map, set, big set, and others. Expression and operation. Learn about the how behavior of JavaScript operator instance of, type of, new, this, operator precedence, and more. Statement declaration. Now how. Do while, for, in, for, of, try, catch, let, or constant, if, else, switch, on more JavaScript statement and keyword work. Function. Learn how to work with JavaScript function to develop your application. JavaScript classes and are the most appropriate to do object oriented programming. Do you get it what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's read about what. First we are going to read about array. What does it array do? Array object with as with array no other programming language enable storing a collection of multiple item under a single variable name and members of the performing common array operation. Description. In JavaScript, array aren't primitive, but they instead array object with the following core characteristic. JavaScript array are resized and contain mix of different data type. When these characteristics are undesirable, use type array instead. JavaScript are not associate array, and so array element can be accessed using array with strings as indexes. What must be accessed using non-negative integer for their respective string from as index. JavaScript array are 0 index. The first element of the array is index 0. The second is index 0. So on the last element is a value of array length property -1. JavaScript array copy operation create shallow copies. All standard built-in copy question operation with any JavaScript object create shallow copies rather than deep copies. Array indices. Array object cannot be arbitrary string or element indices or associate array, but must be a non-negative integer or respective string form. Setting up accessing or via non-integer will not set and retrieve an element from array itself, but will set or access a variable associated with array object property collection. The array object properties and list of the array element are separate, and the array traversal and mutation operation cannot be applied to the name of properties. Array element are object properties in the same way that toString is a property to specific, however toString is method. Nevertheless, try to access an element of an array as follow through an syntax error because the property name is not valid. JavaScript syntax require properties beginning with digit to access bracket notation instead of dot notation. It's not possible to quote array indices. Example, instead of years to, although usually not necessary. The 2 years is correct into a string by JavaScript engine through an implicit to string conversion. As a result, 2 or 0 to would refer to different slot of the year object, and the following example could be true. Only 2 year actually is an arbitrary string property. Will we not visit to array trace and relation between length and numerical properties? A JavaScript array length property and numerical properties are connected. Several of built-in array method join, slice, index of etc. take into account value of array length property will call. Other method push, splice, etc. also result in update in array length property. Constant for pushed, it going to push these string value to an array, and when we going to count this value they will be around 3. It's already going to see that when setting a property on JavaScript array, when a property is valid array index and that index is outside current bound of array, that the engine will update the array length property and accordingly. Increasing the length extend the array by adding empty slots without creating any new element, not even undefined. Describing the length property does however delete element. This is explained further on the length page. Array method are empty and empty slot. Empty slot in sparse array behave inconsistently behave between array method. Generally, the older method will skip empty slots, while newer one treat them as undefined. Among method that iterate through multiple element, the following do in check before accessing the index do not conflate invalid sort and with undefined. Concate every filter flat map for each index for exactly how they treat empty slot. See the page of the each method. These method treat empty slot are undefined. Copying method and mutating a method. Some method do not mutate existing array that was called on, but instead return a new array. They do show the first constructed a new array and then populating it with element. The copy always happens slowly. The method never copies another method initially created array. Element of the original array are copied into new array as follows. The object reference is copied in a new array. Both of the original and new array refer to the same block. This is its if referred to other mode where these changes are visible to both new and original array. Primitive type is such as string number and boolean, not string number and boolean object. Their value are copied into new array. Other method mutate the array that have method are called, in which case their return value differ depending on the method. Sometimes a reference to the same array, sometimes the length of the new array. The following method create new array of accessing this constructor or simple to determine the constructor use concate filter flat map slice. The following method always create new array with array basis constructor. Do you get it what I'm saying? Iterative method. Many array method like a callback function as an argument. The callback function is called sequentially and at most once for every each element of array, and the return value of the callback function is used to determine the return value of a method. They all share the same signature. When callback function take three argument element, the first current element being processed in the array, the index of the current element being processed and the array that the method was called upon. Where callback function is expected to return depend on the array the method that was called. The this string argument default is undefined. Will be used to this value when callback function. This value ultimately observable. Why callback function is determined according the usual rules. If callback function is non-strict primitive and this value are wrapped into object and undefined, substituted with global this the ring argument is relevant and callback function undefined is substituted with global this the argument is irrelevant for any. Like if I put mic here, then do you get it's good. So here also. Uh, Around 14 minutes has been passed in this video. I'm waiting to complete around 40 minutes left out. To get it what I want to say. What have you read about the following method are iterative? Every filter find index, find the last index, light map for each map sum. You get it what each want to find each in particular every find flattened. Do not always have invoke callbacks on every element. They stop iteration as soon as the return is determined. There's two other methods to that place callback function in most of the every element. If the under they have slightly different signature from typical iterative method, for example, iterative, they don't accept. That's it for the video. We'll see you next time.